Gilda, are you decent?
Me? Sure, I'm decent.
Hollywood's golden era wasn't just about glitz and glamour. It was also packed with drama, secrets, and scandals. Some of the biggest stars had trouble staying faithful, and their love lives often caused as much buzz as their movies.
Gregory, are you trying to tell me I'm insane?
It's what I'm trying not to tell myself.
But that's what you think, isn't it? That's what you've been hinting and suggesting for months now, ever since.
From secret affairs to broken marriages, these stories shocked fans around the world. So who made the list of the 15 worst cheaters in Hollywood history? Join us as we dive into the scandals that shocked golden Hollywood like never before.
Hello, fancy seeing you here.
Orange juice? Certainly.
Now tell me you've forsaken your beloved whiskey and whiskies.
No. I just changed their color, that's all. I'm going for the pale pastel shades now. They're more becoming to me.
Cary Grant. Cary Grant was one of Hollywood's most celebrated leading men. With his suave looks, impeccable style, and magnetic charm, he starred in timeless classics like North by Northwest and Charade. But behind his polished exterior was a complicated personal life full of romance, heartbreak, and scandal. Grant's first marriage to actress Virginia Cherrill in 1934 was rocky from the start. The two had a whirlwind romance, but their union was short-lived. They divorced after less than a year, with Virginia accusing Cary of being controlling and physically abusive, claims that tarnished his otherwise spotless image. His second marriage to socialite Barbara Hutton was far more publicized. Hutton was one of the wealthiest women in the world, often referred to as the poor little rich girl due to her lavish lifestyle and turbulent personal life. Their marriage, from 1942 to 1945, was dubbed the marriage of the century by the press. Despite their glamorous appearances, the relationship was reportedly strained, with Grant refusing to indulge in the extravagant spending Hutton was known for. In the end, they parted ways amicably, with Grant famously waiving any claim to her fortune. By the time Cary married his third wife, Betsy Drake, in 1949, he seemed ready to settle down. Drake was not only an actress, but also a writer who supported Cary's career and even introduced him to the therapeutic use of LSD, which was a controversial practice at the time. However, things took a turn when Cary met Sophia Loren on the set of The Pride and the Passion in 1957. Grant fell for the 23-year-old Italian starlet despite being 30 years older and still married to Betsy. Loren was also involved with Carlo Ponti, but that didn't stop Cary from pursuing her. His obsession led him to have Drake removed from the film Houseboat, replacing her with Loren. This betrayal devastated Betsy, who not only lost her role but also received no credit for writing the script. Despite Grant's relentless efforts to win Loren over, sending flowers, love letters, and even asking her to pray with him, she ultimately chose Ponti. And the affair marked the end of Cary's marriage to Betsy. Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth was one of the most glamorous stars of Hollywood's golden age. Known as the Love Goddess, she was the epitome of beauty and elegance, lighting up the screen in films like Gilda and CoverGirl. But her personal life was far from perfect, filled with drama, heartbreak, and scandal. In 1943, Rita surprised everyone when she married Orson Welles, the genius behind Citizen Kane. Their courthouse wedding took place during a lunch break, with no big celebration or fanfare. The media was shocked, especially since Rita had been linked to actor Victor Mature not long before. For a while, the couple seemed happy, but cracks in their relationship began to show. By 1946, their marriage was over, and Rita found herself looking for a fresh start. That's when she met Ali Khan, a prince and international playboy. Ali was known for his charm and lavish lifestyle, and he set his sights on Rita as soon as he heard she was visiting the Riviera. Although both were still technically married, Rita to Welles and Ali to his wife, they didn't let that stop them. Their romance quickly made headlines, and not in a good way. Hollywood was furious. Columbia Pictures president Harry Cohn even sued Rita for $1.2 million after she decided to step away from acting to spend time with Ali. Speaking of which, the press didn't hold back either, with tabloids calling their relationship scandalous and immoral, but Rita and Ali didn't care. In 1949, they married in France, and later that year they welcomed a daughter, Princess Yasmin. However, life with Ali wasn't the fairy tale Rita hoped for. His constant infidelities and extravagant lifestyle took a toll on her. By 1951, she had had enough and filed for divorce. The split turned into a nasty custody battle that dragged on for years. It finally ended in 1960 when Ali died in a car accident. Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart was a Hollywood legend, known for his roles in classics like Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon, but his personal life was far from picture perfect. His marriage to actress Mayo Method, his third wife, was as volatile as it gets. The pair earned the nickname the Battling Bogarts because of their frequent and often public fights. Both were heavy drinkers, and alcohol fueled their arguments, sometimes leading to physical altercations. Method even earned the nickname Sluggy from Bogart due to her fiery temper. One of their most infamous fights occurred during a World War II USO tour in 1944, where the couple reportedly fired guns at each other in a drunken rage. Despite the chaos, they tried to stay together, but their toxic relationship couldn't last forever. In 1944, Bogart met 19-year-old Lauren Bacall on the set of To Have and Have Not. At the time, he was 44 and still married to Method. Bacall, a rising star with a smoky voice and undeniable charm, captivated Bogart instantly. Their chemistry was electric, both on and off screen. One night, Bogart visited Bacall's trailer to say goodnight, but ended up kissing her instead. That moment marked the beginning of their romance. Even though Bogart returned to Method several times during his affair with Bacall, the cracks in his marriage grew deeper. By 1945, Bogart and Method divorced, and just days later, he married Bacall. The couple went on to have 2 children and remained married until Bogart's death in 1957. For Bacall, the relationship was life-changing, though it came at a cost. She later admitted that marrying Bogart shifted the course of her career. Her mentor, director Howard Hawks, had big plans for her, but after she married Bogart, Hawks felt he could no longer control her career and sold her contract. As for Method, her life spiraled after the divorce. Her career never recovered, and she spent her final years battling alcoholism. She died in 1951, far from the spotlight she once knew. Douglas Fairbanks Sr. Douglas Fairbanks Sr., often referred to as the original King of Hollywood, was known for his charm, athleticism, and blockbuster roles in films like The Mark of Zorro and Robin Hood. But behind his dashing on-screen persona was a love affair that rocked early Hollywood. In 1916, Fairbanks met Mary Pickford, America's sweetheart, and one of the biggest stars of the silent era. At the time, both were married, Fairbanks to Annabeth Sully and Pickford to actor Owen Moore. Their attraction was undeniable, and they began a secret affair. They went to great lengths to keep their romance hidden, donning disguises like oversized hats and sunglasses whenever they ventured out together. Pickford's mother even hired a fixer to ensure the press didn't catch wind of the scandal. Their relationship deepened, with Fairbanks writing passionate love letters to Pickford, declaring she had completely taken over his heart. By 1918, the couple risked taking their relationship public while traveling the country to promote Liberty bonds during World War I. Despite their efforts to keep the affair under wraps, whispers about their romance began circulating. Eventually, both Fairbanks and Pickford decided to leave their spouses. They married on March 28, 1920, in what became one of Hollywood's first power couple unions. Fans didn't seem to mind the scandal of their affair. In fact, their popularity only grew. During their honeymoon in Europe, they were greeted by thousands of adoring fans at every stop. Upon returning to the U.S., the couple moved into Pickfair, a sprawling mansion that became synonymous with Hollywood glamour. Together, they formed United Artists with Charlie Chaplin and D.W. Griffith, revolutionizing the film industry by giving artists more creative control. While their marriage began as a passionate love story, it wasn't without challenges. The pressures of fame, combined with personal struggles, eventually led to their divorce in 1936. Ingrid Bergman. Ingrid Bergman was one of Hollywood's brightest stars in the 1940s. With her natural beauty and undeniable talent, she became a household name in classics like Casablanca and Gaslight, even winning an Academy Award for the latter. But while her on-screen life seemed perfect, her personal life was filled with drama that shocked the world. In 1937, Bergman married Petter Lindström, a Swedish doctor who later became a neurosurgeon. At first, their marriage appeared stable, even as they balanced long distances. While Lindström worked toward his medical degree in New York, Ingrid moved to California in 1939 to pursue her acting career. By 1943, when they reunited in Los Angeles, Bergman was already a rising star. Her success grew rapidly, and by the late 1940s, she was at the top of her game. She had worked with legendary directors like Alfred Hitchcock and starred in iconic roles that cemented her place as a Hollywood legend. But everything changed when she met Italian director Roberto Rossellini while filming Stromboli in 1950. Bergman and Rossellini began a torrid affair that made headlines worldwide. Both were married to other people, but that didn't stop them. Bergman left Lindström and became pregnant with Rossellini's child before her divorce was even finalized. When the news broke, the backlash was brutal. The public turned against Bergman, calling her a disgrace. Her films were boycotted, and she was banned from appearing on popular TV shows like The Ed Sullivan Show. The outrage even reached the U.S. Senate, where she was labeled an influence for evil. Feeling the pressure, Bergman fled to Europe with Rossellini. In their time together, Bergman and Rossellini had 3 children, including Isabella Rossellini, who later became a famous actress herself. But their relationship didn't last, and they divorced in 1957. Surprisingly, Bergman's career bounced back, and she returned to Hollywood, eventually winning 2 more Oscars. Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead was the definition of bold and unapologetic. Known for her captivating beauty, sharp wit, and larger-than-life personality, she became one of Hollywood's most scandalous figures. Whether on stage or screen, Tallulah embraced controversy and turned it into a part of her mystique. Bankhead wasn't shy about her lifestyle. She openly talked about her love for alcohol and her adventurous romantic life, which included relationships with both men and women. In an era when such openness was considered shocking, she proudly ignored society's rules. Her confidence made her both admired and feared in Hollywood circles. Tallulah's approach to relationships was just as daring. She was romantically linked to some of the biggest names in Hollywood, but her short-lived marriage to actor John Emery stood out. The marriage, by her own admission, was casual and fueled more by physical attraction than love. Emery resembled legendary actor John Barrymore, who Tallulah once famously said set her standards for male partners. According to her, she'd never sleep with a man who didn't measure up to Barrymore, quite literally. Bankhead's life was filled with outrageous anecdotes that became legendary. One of her most infamous party tricks involved showing off her sleeping husband, Emery, to guests in their bedroom. She would dramatically throw back the covers and ask, "Have you ever seen anything like that?" It was moments like these that solidified her reputation as someone who lived life on her own terms. Beyond her wild personal life, Tallulah was a talented actress who gained fame in movies like Lifeboat and Devil in the Deep. Yet, she often admitted she took on roles less for the art and more for the chance to meet, or seduce, her co-stars. She even agreed to star in Devil in the Deep simply because she wanted to pursue Gary Cooper. Vivien Leigh. Vivien Leigh was one of Hollywood's brightest stars, best known for her unforgettable roles as Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind and Blanche DuBois in A Streetcar Named Desire. But behind her fame and beauty lay a personal life filled with scandal and heartbreak. Leigh's most famous love affair was with legendary actor Laurence Olivier. Their romance started in the 1930s when both were married to other people. Vivien was married to barrister Herbert Lee Holman, who didn't fully support her acting dreams. Olivier, on the other hand, was married to actress Jill Esmond, but he later admitted that he married her out of convenience, not love. The spark between Vivien and Olivier ignited after he watched her perform in The Mask of Virtue in 1936. Vivien boldly declared to a friend, "That's the man I'm going to marry." Her determination set the stage for a whirlwind romance. The two officially met when they starred together in Fire Over England in 1937. During that time, they traveled to Denmark for a production of Hamlet, where their connection deepened and they began a passionate affair. Both left their spouses, moving in together before their divorces were finalized in 1940. They tied the knot 6 months later in California. However, their relationship wasn't the fairy tale it seemed. Behind closed doors, their marriage faced challenges almost from the start. Vivian struggled with mental health issues and alcohol addiction, while Olivier grappled with the strain of supporting her. In 1948, during a theater tour in Australia, Lee met actor Peter Finch and began an affair. This marked the breaking point for Olivier. Although they stayed married for another decade, their relationship was never the same. They finally divorced in 1960 after 20 years of marriage. Despite the pain, they remained in contact, exchanging heartfelt letters. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra wasn't just a legendary singer and actor, he was also famous for his scandalous love life. Known as Old Blue Eyes, Sinatra charmed audiences with hits like My Way and New York, New York, but behind the scenes, his personal life was as dramatic as any Hollywood movie. In 1939, Sinatra married his childhood sweetheart, Nancy Barbato. They had 3 children together, and Nancy was known for her loyalty, even as Frank's fame skyrocketed in the 1940s. But with fame came temptation, and Sinatra didn't try to hide his infidelity. He often found himself at the center of gossip for his affairs with countless women. Nancy, despite her pain, stood by him for years. She believed in their marriage and admired his dedication to their children. Sinatra's biographer, James Kaplan, even described how Nancy went out of her way to please him, cooking his favorite meals and supporting him in every way, but it wasn't enough to keep Frank at home. In the late 1940s, Sinatra met actress Ava Gardner on an MGM film set. Sparks flew instantly. Sinatra was smitten and told friends he would marry her someday, even though he was still married to Nancy. Their affair became one of Hollywood's biggest scandals. Frank eventually left Nancy, and their divorce was finalized in 1951. Just 3 days later, he married Ava Gardner. Sinatra and Gardner's marriage, however, was no fairy tale. The pair fought constantly, and Frank's wandering eye didn't stop after they tied the knot. By 1953, they were living apart, and their divorce was finalized in 1957. Despite their tumultuous relationship, Sinatra and Gardner remained friends until her death in 1990. Nancy never remarried, and even after their divorce, she kept a close bond with Sinatra. Friends said there was no bitterness between them, only mutual respect. Frank would often visit Nancy, proving that while he couldn't stay faithful, he valued her deeply. Clark Gable. Clark Gable, known as the King of Hollywood, was not just famous for his rugged good looks and unforgettable performances in films like Gone with the Wind. Behind the scenes, his life was full of scandal, affairs, and broken hearts. Gable's charm made him a star, but it also made him one of the most notorious womanizers in Hollywood history. Gable was married 5 times, but his infidelities overshadowed all his relationships. He had affairs with nearly every major female star at MGM, including Joan Crawford, Norma Shearer, and Greta Garbo. But one of the most controversial stories involved actress Loretta Young. The two met on the set of Call of the Wild in 1934. Gable was married at the time, but even his marriage didn't stop him from infidelity. Young later revealed that their relationship wasn't consensual, adding even more controversy to the story. Young became pregnant and gave birth to a daughter, but she kept the child's paternity a secret to avoid public scandal. With help from MGM's powerful fixers, the truth was hidden for decades. Young even pretended to adopt her own daughter to avoid scrutiny. It wasn't until much later in life that the world learned the child's father was Clark Gable. Gable's wild lifestyle wasn't just about affairs. His path to stardom was paved with drama. He started in Ohio and worked odd jobs in theater before finding his way to Hollywood. Early in his career, he relied on older women to support him financially. One even paid for his dental work and acting lessons, helping him refine the rough image that would later define his career. In the 1930s, Gable became one of MGM's biggest stars, but his off-screen behavior was carefully managed by the studio. MGM covered up his scandals to protect his image as a leading man. Despite his reckless personal life, Gable remained beloved by fans. His marriage to actress Carole Lombard briefly softened his reputation, but her tragic death in 1942 sent him into a spiral of grief and drinking. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor was one of the most iconic stars in Hollywood history. Known for her beauty, striking violet eyes, and unforgettable roles in films like Cleopatra and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Taylor also had a reputation for her dramatic personal life. Over the years, she married 7 different men and became known as one of Hollywood's most scandalous figures. One of her most infamous moments came in the late 1950s. Taylor was married to her 3rd husband, producer Mike Todd, who tragically died in a plane crash in 1958. Devastated, she leaned on Eddie Fisher, a close friend of Todd's and her best friend Debbie Reynolds' husband, for emotional support. But their friendship took a shocking turn. Fisher and Taylor began an affair that rocked Hollywood and destroyed Taylor's friendship with Reynolds. Eddie left Debbie, who was home raising their 2 young children, to be with Elizabeth. The scandal dominated headlines, with the media painting Reynolds as the heartbroken good girl and Taylor as the homewrecker. In a shocking twist, Taylor and Fisher married just hours after Eddie and Debbie's divorce was finalized. Despite the drama, Taylor later admitted she never truly loved Fisher. In her own words, she felt sorry for him and enjoyed talking about Mike Todd, who she still deeply mourned. Their marriage was short-lived, and by 1964, Taylor had moved on. She left Fisher for her Cleopatra co-star, Richard Burton, sparking yet another media frenzy. As for Debbie Reynolds, the betrayal hurt deeply, and the friendship between her and Taylor seemed beyond repair. But years later, fate brought them together on a cruise ship. They began passing notes, leading to an emotional reconciliation. By 2001, the two were friendly enough to co-star in a comedy film, These Old Broads, written by Debbie's daughter, Carrie Fisher. Tony Curtis. Tony Curtis, one of Hollywood's most charming leading men, was known for his good looks, charisma, and scandalous personal life. His marriage to actress Janet Leigh was considered a golden couple pairing, but behind the scenes, things were far from perfect. Curtis's infidelity ultimately led to the collapse of their marriage, and one of his most infamous affairs was with none other than Marilyn Monroe. Curtis first had a brief romance with Monroe in 1949, but the spark reignited in 1958 while filming the classic comedy Some Like It Hot. Despite being married, Curtis to Janet Leigh and Monroe to playwright Arthur Miller, the two reportedly began an affair on set. Curtis later revealed in his memoir that the affair was more than just a fling. Monroe became pregnant during their relationship, though tragically she suffered a miscarriage before the affair became public knowledge. The affair caused tension on set. Curtis famously made the comment that kissing Monroe was like kissing Hitler, a remark he later clarified was said out of frustration when asked a silly question. However, Curtis admitted that their chemistry was undeniable. He described their time together as unforgettable despite the emotional turmoil it caused. While Curtis was told to stay away from Monroe and Miller, the affair left a lasting impact on all parties. Monroe's marriage to Miller ended in 1961, a year before her untimely death. Curtis's marriage to Janet Leigh also fell apart, with the couple divorcing in 1962 after having 2 daughters together. Curtis didn't shy away from his reputation as a Hollywood playboy. He once claimed that during his early years in Hollywood, he had more action than Mount Vesuvius. Over his lifetime, he was married 6 times and was unapologetic about his wild lifestyle. Jane Mansfield. Jane Mansfield was the ultimate blonde bombshell of her time. Known for her stunning looks and daring personality, she lived a life filled with drama, scandal, and countless affairs. Mansfield wasn't just a talented actress. She was also a master of grabbing headlines, whether it was for her revealing outfits, her rumored lovers, or her outrageous antics. Mansfield's personal life was just as wild as her public persona. She married bodybuilder Mickey Hargitay in 1958, and together they became one of Hollywood's most glamorous couples. They had 3 children, including actress Mariska Hargitay, but their relationship was far from perfect. Jane's infidelity became a major issue, and she didn't bother to hide it. Her rumored affairs included high-profile figures like Robert and John F. Kennedy. Things took a dramatic turn when Mansfield began a relationship with singer Nelson Sardelli. She flaunted this affair openly, even taking Sardelli to her divorce proceedings in Juarez, Mexico. The divorce was messy, with Mansfield going as far as accusing Hargitay of kidnapping one of their children, which was a claim that was reportedly false and meant to gain leverage in the settlement. But Mansfield's scandals didn't stop with her love life. She had a controversial association with Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. LaVey claimed they had an affair, though Mansfield denied it. Instead, she reportedly teased and mocked LaVey, often calling him and letting her friends listen in on the conversations. After her tragic death in a car accident in 1967, LaVey claimed that the crash was the result of a curse he placed on her boyfriend, Sam Brody. Greta Garbo. One of Hollywood's most mysterious and captivating stars, Greta Garbo had a private life that was just as intriguing as her on-screen roles. Known for her roles in films like Anna Karenina and Queen Christina, Garbo's unmatched beauty and talent made her an icon. But behind the glamour was a web of scandalous affairs that still fascinate fans today. In the late 1920s, after ending her relationship with actor John Gilbert, Garbo found herself drawn to a new circle of influential people. One of them was Salka Viertel, a Berlin-born actress and aspiring writer who was 16 years older than Garbo. The two became fast friends, but their relationship quickly turned into something deeper. Salka, married to screenwriter Berthold Viertel, didn't let societal norms or her marriage stop her from getting close to Garbo. Salka's suggestion that Garbo should star in a movie about Queen Christina of Sweden not only strengthened their bond, but also launched Salka's writing career. Their collaboration was groundbreaking, but it was their romantic relationship that drew attention. On Garbo's 26th birthday, the two shared an intimate encounter that Salka later described as harmonious and beautiful. Although their romance didn't last, their friendship did, remaining a steady presence in Garbo's life. Then came Mercedes de Acosta, a playwright and screenwriter known for her bold personality and numerous same-sex relationships. Introduced to Garbo by Salka, Mercedes set her sights on the Swedish star. Garbo, intrigued by Mercedes's confidence and connections, began a passionate affair with her. The two spent time together in secluded getaways, but their relationship wasn't destined to last. Mercedes became possessive and obsessive, following Garbo wherever she went, even moving to homes nearby. Their connection completely broke in 1960, when Mercedes published a memoir that included a private, topless photo of Garbo. This betrayal shattered any trust between them and marked the end of their tumultuous relationship. Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy was one of Hollywood's greatest actors, known for his incredible performances in films like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and Judgment at Nuremberg. But his personal life was as dramatic as the roles he played. Tracy was married to Louise Treadwell, a fellow performer he wed in 1923. Together they had 2 children and built what appeared to be a stable family life. However, behind closed doors, their marriage faced many struggles. Louise dedicated much of her life to raising their children, including their son John, who was born deaf. She also founded the John Tracy Clinic to help children with hearing impairments. While she was devoted to her family, Tracy's life took a different turn. Known for his temper and struggles with alcoholism, he began an affair in 1942 that would last over 2 decades. On the set of Woman of the Year, Tracy met Katharine Hepburn, an actress already celebrated for her talent and independence. Hepburn was immediately drawn to Tracy's talent and charisma, and their chemistry quickly extended beyond the screen. The two began a secret affair, even though Tracy was still married to Louise. Tracy, a devout Catholic, refused to divorce Louise, believing it was against his faith. Louise, in turn, chose to remain married, saying she would always be Mrs. Spencer Tracy. Despite this, Tracy and Hepburn's relationship blossomed. Hepburn devoted herself to him, often taking on a caretaker role, especially as Tracy's health began to decline in the 1960s. In their later years, Hepburn paused her career for 5 years to care for Tracy, who was battling diabetes and heart disease. Their final film together, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, marked the end of their partnership. Tracy passed away 2 weeks after filming concluded in 1967. Out of respect for Louise and their children, Hepburn did not attend his funeral, but later paid her respects privately. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn was practically a Hollywood bad boy. Known for his roles in swashbuckling adventures like The Adventures of Robin Hood, Flynn was just as notorious for his wild personal life as his on-screen charm. He married 3 times, but infidelity followed him through every relationship, leaving a trail of scandals that made headlines around the world. Flynn's first marriage to actress Lily DeMita in 1935 was fiery from the start. Demita was known for her temper, but Flynn's constant affairs made their relationship even more volatile. He was linked to co-stars and high society women throughout their marriage. Demita eventually had enough and filed for divorce in 1942, citing his infidelity and cruelty. His second marriage to Nora Eddington came shortly after in 1943. Eddington was a young socialite who seemed smitten with Flynn's charm, but his wandering eye didn't stop. He had multiple flings during their marriage, often with actresses and women he met on movie sets. Flynn's womanizing was so notorious that his name became synonymous with scandal. By 1949, Eddington filed for divorce, unable to handle his unfaithful ways. In 1950, Flynn married for the third time, tying the knot with actress Patrice Wymore. While their relationship seemed promising at first, it didn't take long for Flynn's old habits to resurface. Even as Wymore stayed by his side, Flynn continued having relationships with other women. One of his most controversial affairs during this time was with Beverly Adland, who was only 16 years old when their relationship began. This caused a major scandal and tarnished his already rocky reputation. There were also rumors of an affair with his frequent co-star Olivia de Havilland, though she denied any romantic involvement. Their undeniable chemistry on screen fueled speculation, but their relationship reportedly remained platonic. And there they are, the 15 worst cheaters in Hollywood history. Which scandal surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.